Wake up, sleepyhead. We have some life to live, some astrology to experience, some Mondays to make magical. That is your wake-up call from Neptune Direct. Today we are discussing the week of astrology from December 8th until December 14th, 2025, and exactly how it is that you can co-create with the cosmos. And the first to do on your list is you've got to get out of bed. You got to open those eyes and you got to participate within this experience. And this can be quite challenging. Neptune is the planet of the dream state. So when Neptune is shifting directions, especially at a degree as loaded as 29 degrees Pisces, these are dreams so realistic that they threaten to ensnare you. Neptune is that sort of haze when you are somewhat awake and somewhat asleep, when you recognize that your alarm is blaring, but you're comfy under your covers and you are just in another world. Maybe kissing somebody within dreamland, maybe running from someone in dreamland. Neptune can be a dream come true or a nightmare. But the core theme, even with the activities of dreams being quite different, the emotions of dreams being quite different, the core through line with the most amazing dream you've ever had or the scariest nightmare is that there comes a point in time when you've got to wake up. You've got to open your eyes and you've got to show up for your reality. And that feels relevant to mention to you with Saturn and Neptune both direct, where Neptune energy can be idealistic, it can be mystical, it could be transcendent, but it can also be murky, confusing, sleepy of an energy. And maybe for you, it's not necessarily the challenge to get out of bed, but the challenge to break free of some illusion that you've been deceived by, some spell that you have been under. Snap out of it. That's the invitation with Neptune stationing direct. Where are you keeping yourself stuck by things that are not real? And what's important at this time with this week's sky and really going into 2026, you're going to hear me talk about this quite a bit. Releasing victim mindset is going to be incredibly important. And I would start now. It's going to be even more important next year, but I would really start now. And I want to be so clear. I am not suggesting that you have not been in situations that you were a victim of. There is a difference between being a victim versus having a victim mindset. And with Neptune energy, it easily can go to that around woe is me. Everything bad always happens to me. The universe must hate me. With Neptune direct, it's around what sort of spells are you casting yourself under by continuing to affirm that, by continuing to say that. And it's not to say that there are not challenges and tribulations. My love, we unfortunately have some of those within our weekly horoscope with Mars in Sagittarius squaring Saturn in Pisces. But what's going to be key around overcoming these obstacles is how it is that you position yourself. You know, Neptune is the planet of screens, of mirrors, of cameras. And so with Neptune direct, it really asks how it is that you're positioning yourself within the movie of your life. If you feel like you are starring in a movie around nothing ever works out for me and I'm a failure and doom and gloom, if you see yourself, if you cast yourself in that sort of role within the movie, how do you think the rest of the movie is going to play out? Versus if you position yourself as the hero, as the protagonist, but as the protagonist who is navigating some challenges, who is navigating some hurdles, who is overcoming some struggles. It's important how you position yourself and how you frame yourself within the movie of your life. So if you have felt like you've cast yourself within a role around how everything is the worst, Neptune direct could be an invitation around, hang on, let me break free of this illusion. There may be situations that I'm a victim of, but I am not a victim to life. There might have been situations where I flopped, but I am not a flop. I might be disappointed in these particular arenas of my life, but I am not a disappointment. With Neptune shifting directions, it really asks what sort of role that you are playing within the movie of your life and to snap out of it. If you're in a role where you're like, this is not me and this is not where I want my movie to go. Because with Neptune energy, it can so easily pull us down around everything is the worst and woe is me and nothing ever works out for me and I am doomed. And that is going to make you continue hitting the snooze when your alarm is telling you to go out of bed. Or it's going to make you have so much self-doubt that you don't go after that opportunity that would be really big for you. There is an ask this week to brush ourselves off after rejection, after failure, and decide to keep going, decide to keep showing up and to get out of bed. get out of bed. Sometimes when we feel very discouraged, it can be all too tempting to just want to sleep it away or just allow what it is that we dream of to only exist when we are quite literally asleep, which fundamentally is going to be a less than satisfying way to live. With Saturn and Neptune both in Pisces within an orb of a couple degrees of one another, there may be an opportunity at this time to bring our dreams to reality and cast a spell on ourselves that we are able to bring our dreams to reality. And when you see yourself within that light, you brush yourself off after rejections, after failures, you decide to keep going. You decide to keep shooting your shot. You decide to keep your gaze fixated on the horizon. You decide to show up. So with this week's astrology, with Mars in Sagittarius squaring Saturn in Pisces, with Mars entering its exaltation of Capricorn, with Mercury entering Sagittarius, with Neptune stationing direct, it is important to wake up and show up for this reality because it is yours. And something that helps me personally get out of bed, something that helps me wake up every day is my coffee. So take a step inside my Cosmic Cafe. Let me know what you are sipping on to start your week. You know, we've got Neptune shifting directions. We've got Mercury trining Neptune. There most certainly could be some interesting things happening within your sleep, whether it's dreamy, whether it's disorienting, whether it's downright scary. It's always wonderful to have those rituals that remind you it was just a dream. It was just a dream. It's not real. I kind of love those dreams when you know that it's a dream. Are any of you good at that? Like lucid dreaming when you're aware of it? I've been getting better and better at it. I had a dream last night that it was my wedding. And for some reason, I had the date May 21st in my head. I was like, okay, it's my wedding. It's May 21st. And I was horrendously underprepared, which for a Virgo moon and rising is a nightmare. I hate those dreams when I'm underprepared for a test, when I'm underprepared for an event, or when I'm underprepared for my wedding, is what transpired last night. And when I mean underprepared, I mean I forgot to get a wedding dress. I mean I forgot to get catering. But it just so happened the venue had some dresses there that I was able to try on. And while I was trying on dresses, I was like, I think this is a dream because I'm pretty sure I would remember to purchase a wedding dress. So then the dream was fun because then I was just having a fashion show, like trying on all of these different dresses. I had this like really cool silver one. It was so sleek. It was so cool. And the person next to me that I felt like was my sister, but she didn't look like my sister, was like, you can't wear a silver dress to your wedding. And I was like, well, joke's on you because this is a dream. And then I woke up. Like whenever I lucid dream and I say that it's a dream or I get too excited when I recognize it's a dream, I always wake up. So that was a little disorienting. I was like, okay. I did feel a lot of relief though. Like, thank God I did not forget to buy a wedding dress for my alleged wedding on May 21st. But anyways, when you have those sort of dreams, it always helps to have a little ritual that brings you back to reality. Today, I made a white chocolate mocha, and the foam on this white chocolate mocha, I knew it was going to be a good day. I knew it was going to be a good day when I saw how well this foamed. I was like, okay, we are blessed. We are divinely blessed with our white chocolate mocha. So let me know how your foam turned out. If you made a latte, or if you went to go grab a latte, if you're drinking tea with one of the quotes on it, let me know if you got a good quote. Let me know how your yerba mate is. Let me know what it is that you're sipping on here in the Cosmic Cafe. So I knew today was going to be a good day with that fun part of the dream when I got to try on all those dresses and then this beautiful foam on my white chocolate mocha. But I especially knew it was going to be a good day because I just felt so glam within my Ana Luisa jewelry, who is the sponsor of this week's Magic Monday and who really keeps our Mondays magical here in the cosmic corner of the internet. I am so thankful and grateful for their support as well as for their products. If you watch Magic Monday, you know that I stay glammed up and adored by Ana Luisa. To me, my rituals are really important to me, whether it's my wake up ritual, meditating, lemon water, making a coffee, whether it's my getting ready ritual. To me, wearing jewelry is so much more than accessorizing. I truly wear jewelry every single day, even when I'm just lounging around the house, because there's something about it that just elevates my energy. It just helps me in showing up more confidently. It helps me feel more put together, more regal. And in terms of energy maintenance, which is essential this week with Neptune stationing direct, it said that wearing things that are sparkly helps to reflect bad vibes or bad energy away from you in order to protect your energy, which is so key when we are navigating very Neptunian weeks. And I really do feel a difference when I put my jewelry on. I've been so obsessed with their mini pebble necklaces, so much so that I have 3 different varieties because they do utilize crystals, which is so supportive for that intention I shared around protecting your energy. So I have the black onyx mini pebble necklace, which is super good for grounding your energy, activating your courage, willpower, completing what you start. I have the green adventurine necklace, which is really good for success, a very jovial mentality, helpful this Sagittarius season. And then I have the one that I'm wearing currently, which is the clear quartz variety, which is special because you can program it with your own intention and it helps to amplify energies. So you all know how much I love Ana Luisa and how much I love crystals. Most times I have crystals sitting right next to me. And why I also really love Ana Luisa particularly is because it's so high quality. Every piece on their website is backed by a 2-year warranty. And I am someone who lives in my jewelry. As I noted, I work out in my jewelry. I shower in my jewelry. I swim in the ocean in my jewelry. And all of the pieces that I have from Ana Luisa are still just as shiny, just as tarnish free as they were the day that I received them. And my channel is a testament to that, as most of my jewelry collection is Ana Luisa because all of their pieces last. This is not the sort of jewelry that falls apart after some use. You could really live in your Ana Luisa, and I do live in my Ana Luisa jewelry. And this is such a wonderful time to invest in your jewelry collection, build on your jewelry stacks, or give the gift of Ana Luisa to someone on your holiday gifting list, as they're having their holiday sale where you can get up to 25% off plus free diamond studs if your cart hits 250, which is truly an incredible deal. A dream come true with all of this Neptune energy this week. So if you want to match me, make sure to check out the link below. I also added the QR code if you're watching me on the big screen. And so thank you so much, Ana Luisa, for your support of Magic Monday. I really encourage you all to check out their holiday sale and make sure to snag your pieces. Bestsellers tend to sell out pretty quickly, so jump on it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Vibe Check of the Week. So welcome to Vibe Check of the Week, which, as the name would imply, is a segment that we get a read on the overall energy, the overall vibe of the astrology that you are stepping into. So we do this by comparing this week's sky to a real life situation. I'm not saying this is literally what is going to play out within your world, but you may see similar dynamics surface as you navigate your week, and you may feel validated knowing that you are not alone and that there is a reason why you are feeling certain energies. So we will say for this week's vibe check that you are an aspiring actress. You take your craft very seriously, but it has been very discouraging, especially as of late. You've been sending out so many audition tapes and it just feels like you've been getting rejection after rejection, so much so that you're wondering if you should just give up on this dream that you have had ever since you were young. You're like, I'm trying so hard and I'm not getting anywhere. My spirit is broken. My hope feels diminished. And an opportunity comes up for you to read for this role that would truly be a dream. And the writer of the screenplay and the director who's already attached to the project would be a dream come true. And you are shook when your agent tells you that you've been invited to send an audition for this particular part. And you can't help yourself. You start getting excited. It's a glimmer of hope in the sea of just constant no's and rejections and thanks but no thanks. And this is something that puts a little bit more wind in your sails, and you give your all to this audition tape. I mean, it takes you the entire day. By the end of the day, you are exhausted. You have been pushing yourself to be perfect, doing it over and over and over again. You want to leave it all out on the table. This has to be it. And you put so much into this audition that by the end of the day, you are beyond drained. You are depleted. You have nothing else to give. But you know that you gave that audition everything that you had and more. And so you submit the audition tape and now you wait and you are just riddled with nerves around, are you going to get the part? Like your life could change. And it just so happens, as it relates to this particular role, they decide to go in another direction and you can't help it. You feel crestfallen. I mean, this is a rejection on top of so many other rejections that you have received. And after receiving this news from your agent, all you want to do is just drink your sorrows away with a bottle of wine and just sleep. And truly the next day you wake up and you have a headache from all of the wine and you don't want to get out of bed. You have a serving gig that you need to get to. And there's just an energy around feeling very discouraged and very woe is me, thinking about all that you gave to that particular audition, as well as to your acting career altogether, and just feeling underappreciated, feeling like your actions have not had the payoff that you would have wanted them to. And you allow yourself to have a pity party. Like, you allow yourself to just feel sorry for yourself. But at a certain point in time, it's time to get out of bed. It's time to show up for this reality. It's time to keep going. You give yourself a pep talk. Mercury re-enters Sagittarius this week. You tell yourself, hey, even though this was a loss, it was a win in that you are on the radar of this screenwriter and this director. Like, they know who you are. They asked your agent to send an audition tape for this particular role. That is a win. And you have to pep talk yourself around. Remember, you got this role, and remember this exciting opportunity came in. And yes, it has been hard as of late, the rejections and the no's, but you did not come this far to only come this far. And you decide to get to work. Mars enters its exaltation of Capricorn at the end of this week. Time to work, B. And you know, part of success is failure, but it's really important how it is that we get up and show up, even when we do have experiences where our hopes get dashed. And you may not be an aspiring actress, but there may be something that crushes your spirit a little bit this week. Mars squaring Saturn could make you feel a bit dejected. It could make you feel very drained. It could make you feel very exhausted. We have a last quarter moon in Virgo this week. So that was the energy and the vibe check around trying to do the audition over and over again, wanting it to be perfect. And, you know, nothing drains our batteries more than this effort to be perfect. And the dejection that you could experience this week is around, I tried so hard, I gave up so much, and still my boss didn't give me the promotion, and still I didn't get the role, and still I'm not gaining followers on this account. Whatever your aims are, whatever it is that you're going after, whatever it is that you desire, there could be a moment that you feel a bit dejected, but this is not an invitation to give up. Lick your wounds, give yourself that pep talk like the protagonist around remembering how far you have come and knowing that these are the moments that define a winner. Like, a winner is not defined by the wins. That's just what we see visibly. The winner is defined by their losses and how it is that they bounce back, how it is that they rise up from obstacles and rejection. I had a soccer coach once who told me, you know, the little things sometimes stay with you. We talked about that in last week's Magic Monday episode, but he told me, Haley, a great athlete is not the individual who everybody is lifting up after they score the winning game at the championship. The winning athlete is the individual who is dripping sweat after running all of these drills on the soccer field with no one else around. The person who puts the work in, who sweats, who shows up. Oftentimes when we look at other people and, you know, the actresses who are getting the roles that we want and the people who we feel like are succeeding, we're like, it's so easy for them, but we don't see what goes into it. We don't see how it is that they sharpen their craft and show up in that effort to be the best that they possibly can be. I'm not advocating here that we need to burn ourselves out, but it's important to continue to show up. And you know, there is something around success and achievement that seems effortless, but it takes a lot of work to seem effortless. And that's oftentimes data that we are not privy to. And even though no one is around this particular day to keep you accountable, to make sure you go to acting class after your serving gig that night, you decide to show up. You keep at it, you keep going. And this is really something that distinguishes you as a winner. In the movie of your life, like seeing yourself as someone who will be successful, who will achieve what it is that you were meant for, who will rise above the trials and tribulations that you are experiencing currently. It's important, even if our protagonist did not book that role, It's important to book ourselves in the role around these are just present circumstances, present challenges that I will overcome. And I'm going to wake up from any sort of illusion that I'm in. I'm going to wake up from the temptation of wanting to stay in bed all day. I'm going to show up for my experience rather than just drinking my sorrows away with a bottle of wine. And I'm going to make my dreams happen in actuality, not just when my eyes are closed and I'm asleep. You know, there is a responsibility to bringing our dreams to life with Saturn and Neptune both positioned in the final degrees of Pisces. And sometimes we can put in a lot of energy to just live within our own dream world, to check out of this reality. But Pisces is the fish that is meant to merge our own dream world with this reality and bring our visions to life. And you can only do that when you show up for this life thing, which, yes, has its fair share of disappointments, of rejections, but it's a lot more satisfying to hold that Oscar in actuality rather than just in our own internal visions. So we will give more texture, nuance, and detail to this vibe check as we break it down into our day-by-day astrological synopsis. I just want to remind you that I am located in California, so the time zone that I use is PST. Please adjust to your time zone if you are located elsewhere. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into the astrology for Monday, December 8th. So happy Monday, December 8th. Your week may start on a little bit of a wah-wah note. We can still make it magical. But at 4:16 p.m. PST, Mars in Sagittarius squares Saturn in Pisces, which does indicate challenges, obstacles, especially as it relates to our energy levels. You can feel very drained. You could feel a lack of motivation. There could be too much to do and not enough energy to do it. You could even be asking yourself, why even try? Nothing I do works out anyway. You could feel very frustrated at this particular time. You could feel like your efforts, your aims are not paying off in the way that you would want them to. You could feel like you're watching other people get what it is that you want, what it is that you desire. You could feel like you're having to be way more patient than you should have to be. You could just feel this energy around feeling tired, you know, whether that's physically exhausted or just soul tired. I'm tired of trying. I'm tired of feeling rejected. I'm tired of hearing no. And what's important, especially this week, is to take that moment to lick your wounds. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days, but you got to keep going. And I want to be so clear. Sometimes we do need a second to just be like, okay, I need a moment to just recuperate my energy. I need to cancel this plan. I need to say no to this particular project. I simply do not have the energetic bandwidth at this particular time. Like Mars and Sagittarius squaring Saturn and Pisces, we have to be very rigid and very intentional with where we are giving our energy. Because if you are giving your energy freely to anyone who requires it, you're going to feel burnt out. And furthermore, you're going to feel resentful. And yes, resentful at other people for making so many requests of you, but also resentful for yourself for allowing it. Something that's so important at this particular time with Saturn direct in Pisces and Neptune direct in Pisces is energy maintenance. And you must be the CEO of your energy, deciding where it goes. You know, it's the holiday seasons. It tends to be a very busy time of year for many individuals. And you have to be intentional where you are giving your energy and what within your life you do not have the energetic bandwidth at that particular moment in time to invest it within. And also know rest needs to be a priority of that. You know, sometimes we have certain disappointments. Sometimes we're getting over a cold. And it's important for us to take a moment to recover. That helps us be more sustainable. That keeps us from burning out. So you can always get back at it the next day. You can always try again the next day. Sometimes we just need a moment to be like, I'm disappointed. I really wanted this role. I really wanted this opportunity. I really wanted this to work out, and it didn't. And let me just take a moment to rest and recuperate before I keep going. And let me be very intentional around compartmentalizing my rest, my downtime as something essential, as something critical to the success of everything else within my life. You know, with Mars squaring Saturn, some of us could be feeling very burnt out and drained, and you don't see the world clearly when you are operating from that state. You really don't. It will make everything seem like the absolute worst, and you will not be as productive. Even if you are forsaking downtime in an effort to do all of the things and do them perfectly, and that's relevant with the last quarter moon in Virgo later on this week, you will not be as present. You will not be as powerful. You will not be as creative because you're operating from a space of depletion. Sometimes the most productive thing that we could do is take a break. It's not give up. When we take a break, oftentimes we return back to our projects and our responsibilities with fresh eyes, with a charged battery, so to speak. I'm seeing in my mind's eye with Mars squaring Saturn just like a battery that's on low. And just like we have to plug our phones in, we got to charge our camera, we need that as well. And sometimes we dig into the reserves around, I just need to do 5 more projects, or I just need to do this. But something that I've learned in my experience in the times that I've had to dig deep into the reserves is then when I crash, because I always crash when that happens, it takes even longer. Because not only am I having to recharge my battery, I'm having to replenish my reserves. And oftentimes that takes even more time. You really do not want to get to a place of burnout. And if any of you have been burned out before, you know what that feels like. Oftentimes when it gets to such an extreme point, you are no longer functional. And it legitimately takes a really long time to replenish yourself to get back to being a human. And oftentimes it's not very conducive for long-term success. You know, Mars enters its exaltation of Capricorn this weekend. Capricorn is a Saturn ruled sign. It's around how you're setting yourself up for the future. And when you operate on burnout, you are stealing from a future version of yourself because they're going to have to pay the price for it. We always pay the price for it somewhere when we've got some Mars Saturn energy. And so it's knowing if I want to be a boss, right? Mars in Capricorn later this week is like boss energy. I need to learn how to slow down, how to rest, to give myself these micro moments of replenishing my energy so it doesn't get to a place of utter sustained burnout that damages the big picture that I am wanting to build. Success must be sustainable. You always pay for the all-nighters. You always pay for the meals you skip. You're essentially just kicking the can over to a future version of yourself. And Mars in Capricorn wants you to be the CEO of your life and a very shrewd business person around allocating your energy intentionally towards getting there. So if you feel exhausted today, if you feel drained, take a bath. You will see the world differently after you rest. Eat a snack. Nourish your body, walk outside, do something for you. Cry if you must, but give up, you mustn't. Give up, you mustn't. And it's also important to just be rational with your energy. You know, Mars in Sagittarius is very optimistic, wants to do all of the things and give our energy all of the places. But Saturn is making us really play by the bounds of time and what is realistic and practical for us to do. And so you may feel the energetic depletion around, I shouldn't have said yes to every single holiday gala this year or every single work project. I got lost in the big picture of it. Now I'm having to fulfill energetically these promises that I made, which can really be exhausting. And another really nefarious part of burnout is that it really drains our creativity. We really do not feel inspired when we are just running on empty, running on fumes. And creativity is essential. We've got the moon in Leo all day long. It trines Venus and Sagittarius around 12 p.m. Being burnt out drains our joy, it drains our sense of adventure, it drains our sense of fun, it drains our sense of creativity. And sometimes it's very worthwhile to say no, to rest, to take a beat, to take a breath. And if you're under a spell around, I can't slow down, I can't say no to this, I always volunteer for this, or money is money, I can't say no to this particular gig. Like I said, you always pay for it somewhere. And with Neptune Direct this week, it's really important what spells we've been keeping ourselves under. You know, sometimes we will keep ourselves under a spell where we don't feel safe to say no to something because we are operating in scarcity around what if something else doesn't come back? You know, it's scary. If any of you are business owners, it's scary to say no to business, say no to a job, say no to a gig, especially if you're working for yourself and it's on you. You could feel fundamentally not safe. Even if you're drained and you do not have the energetic bandwidth to take it on, it can still feel scary, especially if you're under a spell around, I need to take any business that I can get. Like with this week's Mars energy, it's around, no, you have to take the right business, like the business that supports you in the direction that you really want to go, and the business that you are a wholehearted, full body yes for, what it is that you want to specialize in. And with Mars squaring Saturn, there might be certain projects that come in where it's like, I just don't have the bandwidth to take this on. And you have to be intentional with what you have the bandwidth to take on in order to have the space to do things that are a yes. With the Leo moon trine Venus in Sagittarius, this is fun. This is how I can express myself creatively. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I want to grow into. It's very important to really follow your energy and honor that. But sometimes it does create some scary moments where it's like, oh, this is a really big gig, but it doesn't feel right for me. You know, sometimes we agree to things because we're under illusion that we need to take anything that we could possibly get rather than the right things, the clients that we're a true fit for, the projects that really light us up, the direction we really want to go in, the vision that we really want to specialize in. And an illusion that you could be shattering this week with Neptune Direct is the illusion that busy equals successful. Shatter that illusion. Because it really doesn't. And sometimes our ego feels like that. So we feel like we can't slow down, or we feel like we can't say no to things, even if we are drained and burnt out, because we have convinced ourselves that it's not safe to ever take a beat, that it's not safe to ever turn away a project if it is not for us. Breaking free of that illusion. Busy does not necessarily equal successful. It means cluttering your days and hours with a lot of stuff rather than really sharpening into focus the things that you want to do very well. And also, some of you might be in an illusion around, I can't slow down, I can't take a break, or even if your body needs it, you have some sort of flare up, you are under a cold, for the love of God, please nap and rest and make chicken noodle soup, and do not judge yourself for it. If you are someone who feels guilty every time that you're sick, you drag your laptop into bed, I get you. I am you, unfortunately, but this is an invitation for all of us to really learn to rest, to really learn to slow down in order to allow our success to be sustainable and build the things that we really want to build, with Mars entering Capricorn this weekend. On Tuesday, the moon is in Leo for most of the day. It does ingress into Virgo at 11:20 p.m. PST. But for most of the day, we've got a Sagittarius sun and a Leo moon, which is fiery energy around being the person that you are, connecting to your heart space, connecting to the strength that is within you, and knowing that you have the ability to bounce back, to rise again, to break the illusion that this disappointment, this letdown was the end for you, and to pick yourself back up with your head up high. And I say this because yesterday afternoon we had Mars square Saturn. So that absolutely could still be felt today. You may wake up feeling absolutely exhausted, absolutely drained. You may feel not very hopeful, not very optimistic. And it's helpful to do the things that make you feel confident when that is the case. Maybe it's booking in for that workout class that always makes you feel more confident as you leave. Maybe it's getting ready in the morning. I've found that that can do so much just for my overall confidence and mood and just feeling more uplifted. Do whatever you can do in order to bring yourself back into that position of power, even if you're not necessarily feeling it at this particular moment. The Leo moon will trine the Sagittarius sun around 1 a.m. and then trine Chiron in Aries at 10:27 a.m. So this is really around licking our wounds, but giving ourselves a pep talk, reminding ourselves who we are, which is going to be important with the Leo moon building to trine Mars and Sagittarius around 4 p.m. Doing the things that make you feel confident, doing the things that make you feel creative, doing the things that connect you into your heart space and passion, because that is really what helps you keep going. Like our protagonist in the vibe check, if there was not a genuine love and passion for acting, it would not be sustainable. Those hard days, those rejections, it would not be sustainable. Those moments of loving what you do and loving how you do it, that's what makes it sustainable. And so with the Leo moon trining Mars and Sagittarius, doing the things that make you feel powerful, even if there are certain things that are out of your control, you know, that love for what you do keeps you showing up. And sometimes it's important to have a perspective shift. The Leo moon will square Mercury in Scorpio and square Uranus in Taurus. That aligns in the evening time, which can absolutely show up within your Tuesday, which I'll get into momentarily. But as a co-creative opportunity, there's an opportunity to shift your perspective around how you're framing this. If you feel like business has slowed down, if you feel like you've been getting rejection after rejection, if you feel like nothing is working out, it could be helpful to view that in a different way. around the same results or the same experience, but categorizing it differently. I remember like early in my business, I would always like freak out when things slowed down and I would feel like a flop. I would feel like a failure. I was like, this is it. This is it for Haley Comet Astrology. And I had to learn to reframe that. I had to see it around the universe is slowing down the clients intentionally at this time so that I can address to other arenas of my business. And I'm actually very grateful for those moments in time that things did slow down, because what it did is it gave me a moment to pause. It gave me a moment to get organized. It gave me a moment to start doing new things on social media and new things around marketing, things that I would not have been able to do if I was booked solid day in, day out from the moment that I opened my business. Sometimes the universe is saying, this girl's got to work on her marketing for her long term, and we're giving you a beat in order to do that. So if you feel like things have slowed down, look around. What are other arenas of your life to address? Maybe it's just your physical body, your physical vitality. With Mars squaring Saturn yesterday, rest is important. And in terms of how this may show up as you navigate your day, you could be really in your ego and pride. Other people could be in their ego and pride, really not hearing you because they're more so fixated on what they are going to say next. People could be a little testy, a little agitated with this fixed T-square, and you could just feel restless. Like this strange mix around, I feel exhausted, Mars squared Saturn yesterday, but yet I don't really feel relaxed. Like there could just be an energy around feeling unsettled, or just emotionally feeling all over the place, or experiencing a little bit of the head and the heart around logically, this is what makes sense, but my heart wants what it wants. And so there could be a little bit of push-pull around that. The moon enters Virgo at 11:20 p.m. PST, which draws our awareness to our routines, our day-to-day, our health. On Wednesday, December 10th, at 4:21 a.m. PST, Neptune stations direct at 29 degrees Pisces. And I want to highlight that when a planet shifts directions, we feel it. It really reverberates that planet's energy. So you could really be feeling the Neptune midweek, which could really make your dreams quite interesting. You could wake up and be like, what the hell was that? What is happening in dreamland? What is happening with my subconscious? You know, Mercury opposes Uranus today, so there could be some WTF moments. And with Neptune direct, potentially around your dreams. What was that? Who was that? Who am I? And there could be some interesting messages embedded within your dreams. I would encourage you to journal on it, reflect on it if that is the case. But other dimensions that you could be feeling this Neptune haze over your day. Neptune as a planet can be very romantic. It can be very idealistic. So this is a nudge to romanticize your life. The moon's in Virgo all day long. So even romanticizing your rituals, making your coffee, getting ready, doing certain tasks around the office. The bulk of our lives are these day by day tasks and responsibilities. So it's important the lens by which you view them. You know, our lives are so rarely those movie moments of the weddings and the parties and the celebrations. Like a lot of your life will be consumed by car rides. Like how are you going to romanticize it? A lot of your life will be consumed by grocery shopping. Like how is it that you make it a little bit more cinematic, a little bit more romantic, as well as looking for opportunities to go about your rituals with intention. Neptune is a very spiritual planet. So the intention that we do things with is incredibly important, and it can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whether or not you want to argue it's placebo effect, the result remains the same. A lot of times our reality does conform to our ideas, to our expectations, where, for example, you can think of my just wearing jewelry as something typical and something that won't make a dramatic impact on my life. But for me, when I put on my jewelry, I am essentially putting my spiritual armor on, where I have sparkly things on me that helps me reflect bad vibes away from me. I have crystals that charge my intention. And if that's the energy that I feel when I put on my jewelry, it exudes from my being. These things may work in all actuality, but Neptune can bend and distort our reality, where it can amplify our visions and intentions, where putting cinnamon in our coffee, it becomes an abundance ritual. And because we have affirmed that, we seek out and look for more opportunities for abundance. There's an opportunity to romanticize your life as well as infuse intention with your day-to-day rituals today with the moon in Virgo. On the downside of Neptune energy, rose-colored glasses energy can be highlighted, especially with Neptune at the final degree of Pisces. Sometimes the delulu gets you, and sometimes it's fun to be a little delulu, to romanticize something. Just keep your feet on the ground would be my encouragement here. You also could just be feeling the weight of humanity. You know, Neptune is at 29 degrees Pisces. This is the final degree of the final sign of the zodiac. It is loaded. Truly the loudest trash can ever. It builds on every degree that came prior. And Neptune energy can make us more sensitive and overwhelmed, feeling our stuff and feeling other people's stuff as well, and feeling very heavy because of all of that. And that's why I was encouraging energy maintenance is so essential at this particular time, because sometimes we can feel selfish or cruel if we... Another garbage truck for realsies. Is this the same one just going back and forth? You know, sometimes we can feel very selfish and very cruel around feeling the weight of what we're going through, what other people are going through, and feeling guilty for our joy when others are miserable, or wondering if there's any joy to source when there is so much misery within this world. Neptune energy can make that really permeate into our being. But when you really understand quantum physics, when you really understand vibration, when you really understand frequency, you understand that you being in a vibration of joy, inspiration, creativity, that allows you to do more good out in the world. And I'm not saying that it's reasonable to maintain that all of the time, but oftentimes when you maintain your own energy, that's when you're able to serve with the moon in Virgo all day long. That's when you're able to give, is because you're in a space where you have something to give. You're able to uplift. And so with Neptune at the 29th degree direct, there's just an invitation to be very mindful of your energy, be very protective of your energy, wear your crystals, wear your jewelry, do your meditations, take your salt baths, do the things that really take care of your energy. And know that it is not selfish to maintain your energy. Just before noon, Mercury will oppose Uranus, which, keep in mind, is a Mercury aspect that we have experienced twice before. And so this is the final pass, the final shockwave. There could be some unexpected news, some unexpected occurrences. In all honesty, some just WTF moments, just some random occurrences. Like you could lose something, you could find something and be like, I lost this 3 years ago and now here it is. There could just be some WTF moments like that, as well as some shocking news, some shocking messages, some shocking information, an exciting development. Uranus energy is neutral. It just governs the unexpected. But what I would say, especially since we have the moon in Virgo all day long, and the Virgo moon answers to Mercury and Scorpio opposing Uranus and Taurus, and considering we have the last quarter moon in Virgo tomorrow, which is the crisis of spirit lunar phase, you may feel a little anxious today. You may feel very restless today. You may feel very scattered today. You could feel overwhelmed, but so overwhelmed that you're lacking the ability to do one thing at a time. With the Mercury opposite Uranus, you can get some inspired genius ideas, but it's important to think outside of the box as well as answer the call. You know, sometimes we just receive an idea, whether it's an idea for a social media post, an idea of an email that we want to send, and it's very important to answer the nudge. You know, our mind doesn't hold on to things for as long as we think that it does, where you can think, oh, I'll remember that poem idea tomorrow. I'll remember to email that person tomorrow. Sometimes it helps, especially if you're like inspired and it comes in to do it at that particular moment, making sure to spell check. We've got a Virgo moon and Mercury's still clearing its post-retrograde shadow, but it can be important to seize the moment, take hold of that moment of inspiration, because thoughts are more transient than we realize. And same goes if you have had really rich, vivid dreams this week. We tend to think, I'll remember it, but they say for best dream recall, it's important to journal right when you get up, like before you even get out of bed, as you rapidly forget the details as you step more and more into your day. And so with Mercury opposite Uranus, you could have some random epiphanies, ideas, downloads, and it's important to take action on it, or at the very least, write it down. would be my encouragement. As I stated, the moon is in Virgo all day long. It squares off with the Venus in Sagittarius just before midnight that evening. So there could be an internal conflict when it comes to dinner time tonight, where you could feel this battle around, I should eat these vegetables before they go bad within my fridge, but I want to get takeaway. Like you could just feel battle around, what's healthy, what's good for us with the Virgo moon versus what's fun with the Venus in Sagittarius. And so you can feel that push-pull within you as well around, I should do my work tasks, but I want to go to this particular concert. So you could have a battle between duty versus having a little fun. On Thursday, December 11th, I want to start your daily forecast by saying that Mercury in Scorpio is positioned at the final degree of Scorpio, trining Neptune, who is sitting at the final degree of Pisces. And there's still a Neptunian haze in the air, which could have really enlivened your dream space, as well as given this sort of foggy, what is real, what is life sort of energy over your minutes and hours and day. And sometimes that kind of foggy, disillusioned Neptune energy could make us want to just check out from our life because we're like, what's real? What matters? It could just get very nihilistic in a sense because it is a very spiritual planet. So you could just want to melt into the fabric of consciousness altogether, losing where you stop and other humans begin. Sometimes it can make you feel very removed from this experience around what is real, what is happening, which can make you check out. Like sometimes connecting spiritually can make us really check into this experience around, I am a soul here to live these lessons and work on my talents and work on my gifts and share them out into the world and seek to relieve other people of their suffering and so on and so forth. Like sometimes that can be inspiring and sometimes it could be so destabilizing. So you could be wavering between those. And Mercury trining Neptune doesn't exactly help with stabilizing that. It can be very dreamy. You could be seeing signs and synchronicities all over. There could be many coincidences, many synchronicities. What are the odds that this would happen? What are the odds? We just talked about this and now this happened. What are the odds we happen to go this place at this particular time and run into this person? Or what are the odds I go to text you and you were already messaging me? Those moments around recognizing that what we consider as reality is not as static and separated as we may think that it is, that we're all connected via thought forms and vibration. And sometimes we have those experiences that reflect that around certain things showing up within our outer world that mirror and reflect exactly what is happening within our inner. And so there could be some of those kind of spooky synchronicities alive within your day, as well as just noticing the intuitive nudges, allowing yourself to flow with inspiration if something is channeling through you, moving through you. At 12:52 p.m. PST, we do have a last quarter moon in Virgo, which is a call to release perfectionism. Perfectionism is something that will burn you out. There is such a difference between giving something your all and burning yourself out, depleting yourself in this name of achieving the unachievable. Perfection does not exist in an imperfect world. And sometimes it is a way that we self-sabotaged around, I'll submit the audition as soon as it's perfect, or I'll try to start this thing as soon as it's perfect, as soon as it's perfect, as soon as it's perfect. My love, you'll be waiting a long time. And sometimes perfectionism makes you very hard on yourself. There's just this energy of not enoughness. I'm not good enough. And it's important to really chisel your craft, to work on being the best actress that you can be, the best tarot reader, the best model that you can be, whatever it is that you do, your thing. It's important to show up for it. And showing up for it in those days that you're booking all of the jobs and you're winning and you're succeeding, but also those days in which you're feeling like a flop and you feel rejected and you have a zit on your forehead, which may be the case for a certain astrologer around here. I covered it with concealer. You very well might not be able to see it. But sometimes when something like that happens, where it's like, I don't feel like it, I just feel like a flop, I feel like a failure, I have the zit, sometimes it will keep us from showing up around, I cannot feel Magic Monday until it's perfect. I have learned as the Virgo moon and rising the importance of just showing up with a zit, showing up messy, but the importance is showing up. I am very proud that in the history of Magic Monday, I've only missed 3 weeks since I started it in 2020. And I don't share that in like a hustle, grind, no matter what, you have to be productive and efficient because that's what defines who it is that you are. I don't share it in that particular way, but I share that around the beauty of ritual because there have been many bad weeks since 2020. There's been many good weeks since 2020. But showing up for this was a constant of my life. No matter what was happening, I knew I was showing up. And to me, it's like coming back to an altar. It's doing anything that we do with intention. Because whether Magic Monday was doing great or poorly, I was here. And I've shared this before, for the first like 2 years or so, there were not many people listening to Magic Monday. By many people, I mean like there was maybe like 3 or 4 people who would like tune in every single week. Regardless, I would show up. And it's like an altar, anything else that we do with intention around the showing up for it. And regardless of how many people were watching, I was showing up. I was refining my craft. It's interesting. I was having to go back into past Magic Mondays because I had to pull some assets for something I was working on, which P.S. I was doing when Mercury was retrograde in my 3rd house. How apt is that? But I was looking back at past Magic Mondays, and obviously there's been shifts around, the set and things like this. But I also was surprised around how I feel I've grown in my communication, like in my delivering of the forecast, which would have not have been possible had I not shown up each and every week and refined my ability, refined my craft. And it was wonderful to kind of look back at past Magic Mondays and see how much I've grown. Like, obviously, it's wonderful that there's more people who come to the cosmic corner of the internet. I'm so grateful that now this is part of many of your routines as well. It's truly like pinch me, dream come true. Talk about Neptune Direct. I'm so, so incredibly grateful that that is the case. But to me, what I was just amazed at is how I've grown within the showing up of it and how I've chiseled my gifts and how I've chiseled communication through working that muscle. The energy of Virgo is around coming back to something and chiseling our craft and not burning ourselves out. It's resting and restoring ourselves, but still showing up for our craft, showing up to get better and releasing perfectionism. I almost did not post the first Magic Monday because I felt like my hair looked weird. Like, girl, it is not about your hair. And we wouldn't be here. If I was waiting for the day that my hair magically looked great all of the time, my love, we would be waiting a long time. This YouTube channel has seen my hair in some states. In some moments. And so let go of perfectionism. You just need to show up. You do not need to show up perfectly. You just need to show up. And releasing that. Now, some of you might be releasing critique and criticism from others. Maybe you've been holding on to something that someone told you, or even fear of criticism, fear of haters or nasty comments, keeping you from chiseling your gifts. So for some, the criticism is coming from within, around, I couldn't possibly send this audition tape. My mouth looks weird when I do this. Or I couldn't possibly post this because I utilize this wrong word here. Like your own perfectionism and criticism could be getting in your own way, or the fear of criticism from around you, not wanting to put yourself out there because you fear what other people will say, or putting yourself out there and receiving a lot of thoughts and opinions about it, which is not always pleasant. Opinions, everybody has them. And there could potentially be constructive criticism that you can work with. Sometimes you just got to recategorize it. Like sometimes there is a gem around your agent saying, hey, they noticed this in the audition tape, and taking that to heart in order to refine your gift. Like sometimes criticism that other people give you is helpful, but naturally as human beings, when someone tells us that we're doing something wrong, we do tend to be defensive, when we tend to double down around, I meant to do it like that. Or even if we could have done it differently. So it's not to say that we need to completely like la the haters or anyone who's critiquing us, because sometimes there is valid constructive criticism, but sometimes there is certain commentary, certain comments that is important for you to recategorize. Someone could say something to you and you might immediately categorize it into a bucket of, why do I even try? I'm the worst. Nobody likes what I do. You could categorize it potentially into a bucket around, they don't know what they're talking about. Like they're a loser and they're lame. Maybe I should fire back. But I would encourage you and implore you to filter it into a new category where, especially if you are creating something, if you are putting something out there and somebody makes critique of you that's just nasty. Like you can see that it's not constructive. You can see that it is just given in a very kind of like nasty sort of way. The category to put that in is that this is someone who's giving me their energy. Like truly, this is someone who has taken precious time out of their day to leave this comment on my Instagram or to DM this or to tell me this at work. Like this is someone who has given me some of their energy. You know, I think being on social media really helps you in categorizing this because regardless if somebody leaves a really wonderful comment, which I'm so thankful I've received so many through the years, or a nasty comment, which I have received a couple throughout the years, regardless, that performs well in the algorithm. Like regardless, when someone comments something, whether it's kind, whether it's constructive criticism, hey, you could be doing this better, hey, I noticed this, whether it's just pure nasty, regardless, it helps these algorithms favor your content. So it helps you recognize that regardless what they're talking about, at least they're talking, and it helps you to recategorize it. You know, a gift of this channel is that it's made me a lot less sensitive. We could be feeling quite sensitive this week with Neptune Direct, and sometimes last quarter moon in Virgo can make us very sensitive to criticism. But when you're on social media, you grow a thick skin pretty quickly. And again, this is someone who does not have that big of a social media presence. I cannot imagine what a lot of people go through. But even with our modest cosmic corner of the internet that I'm so incredibly grateful for, this whole experience has made me grow a thick skin. You just have to continue to show up. If it gets in your head, you will not show up. And so for me, how I trained myself, because the comments used to get to me, like I have cried over comments, like they used to really sting. And I had to train myself every time I saw a nasty comment of someone talking about how I look or making certain assumptions for how it is that I live my life. I trained myself every time I would see one of those, I would just like mentally have a little like cha-ching sound with my head. Like I had to literally see that as a transaction where that person just paid me their energy, their attention. It helped my content go out in the algorithm, which in turn was helping me grow my business. Like, thank you. What a pleasure doing business with you. And sometimes those little mindset shifts can be everything for the purpose of still going. If you are feeling dejected, you feel like people critique you, you're like, what's the point of even trying? Because obviously not everyone watching this is on social media. Maybe there's like a certain family member where it's like, regardless of what you do, they always have something to say. Or regardless of what you do for your boss, it's like they never give you that validation that you're really looking for. This could just be a mindset shift around literally haters are going to hate. Critics are going to critique, but you just got to keep showing up. Whether the critics love what you're doing, whether they hate what you're doing, you're showing up, you're refining your craft. That is a constant within your life. And that mindset shift energy is relevant just with Mercury entering Sagittarius at 2:40 p.m. PST. Mercury was in Scorpio for the first part of the day. So some of those comments could have stung. That email from your boss could have really felt like a punch to the gut. But with Mercury and Sagittarius, this does encourage a more optimistic perspective and worldview. And sometimes you have to pep yourself up around, just because my boss did not like this project does not mean that I am bad at my job. I'm going to try again tomorrow. Or just because Aunt Marcia, always catching strays on Magic Monday. Aunt Marcia, if you know, you know, if you watch Magic Monday. Just because Aunt Marcia didn't like the casserole that I brought to dinner does not mean that I'm a failure. Like sometimes you have to just be your own best friend and your own cheerleader and see things in a bigger perspective. I will say Mercury and Sagittarius can make our words more fiery, more blunt, more honest. We could feel tempted to really give Aunt Marcia a piece of our mind or give a commenter a piece of our mind. But again, your energy is the most valuable currency you have. And we have to be very intentional where we are giving it, with Mars still separating from Saturn. And a lot of things are just not worth your energy. So it's important to keep your mindset strong. The moon is in Virgo all day long. The last quarter moon in Virgo and Mercury positioned at the anaretic degree for most of the day could make things feel very urgent today. Urgent work mistakes, urgent work projects. So much going on. You could feel a little scattered and frazzled, but the energy of Virgo moon is helpful around showing up, refining your craft, minding the little things of your life, as life is composed of a lot of little things, and then feeling the satisfaction of a job well done. You know, whether or not your boss gave you the glowing review that you really wanted, or regardless if Aunt Marcia liked your casserole, there is a certain satisfaction around knowing that you gave it your all. And not your all in terms of feeling utterly drained and depleted and lacking boundaries, but just knowing I did the best that I could do. I checked off many items from my to-do list. And there's a certain satisfaction that comes from that. The Virgo moon opposes Saturn at 11 p.m. And so it's important to tune into that satisfaction energy because there's always more that we could be doing. That's why I'm really big on having my certain visions for the day, having the tasks that are the most important for me to accomplish. And then if those things get done, I feel really good about myself. Certainly, as a business owner, many of you are parents, many of you work really important jobs out in the world. There's always more you could be doing. You always could get a head start on this. You always could be thinking about these people's gifts. There's always more that you could be doing. So it's important to really set the parameters yourself around what will make today a win or what will make today a productive day or efficient day. Really have your goals, your visions around these are my most important tasks. These are my biggest responsibilities and feel satiated when those are accomplished. Because with the moon opposite Saturn, you can feel this energy around, oh, I should have done this or tomorrow I have to do this. There could just be some heaviness on your emotional state or just feeling the heaviness of perfectionism, not feeling good enough altogether. On Friday, December 12th, you could wake up feeling very drained, very exhausted. The Virgo moon squares Mars. Maybe you stayed up the night before stressing, Virgo moon opposite Saturn, and you're paying the price for it today. You also could just wake up in a bad mood, grumpy, bad attitude, your toddler's fussy. There could just be some spikiness early Friday. The Virgo moon trines Uranus and Taurus at 5:20, which can be helpful in infusing some sort of new into our routine. So it's like, okay, my toddler got up really early because they're so fussy, but maybe let's just take an opportunity to go for an early morning walk, and maybe I can grab a latte from the place that I want to, like these little opportunities to infuse a little new variety into our life. Just make sure to not dilly-dally on your way back from the coffee shop for too long, as the Virgo moon will oppose Neptune in Pisces at 6:51 a.m., which can be sleepy, but also kind of like in a daze, not fully here, not fully aware. Again, if you did sleep in, this could also be a day that it's kind of hard to get out of bed, or you could just be thinking about the dream that you had prior, just like, what was that? The moon enters Libra at 8:04 a.m., drawing an awareness to connection, to harmony, to relationship, to partnership. I will highlight the moon is currently shedding light in preparation for next week's Sagittarius new moon, which of course we will talk about in next week's episode of Magic Monday. And the Libra moon deeply wants connection. It deeply wants to bond. The Sagittarius sun deeply wants adventure and expansion. But there can be an energy in the lead up to next week's Sagittarius new moon where you are craving your own space. You are focused on what you don't want to take with you in this new moon cycle and even on the near horizon the next year. I think that there's something very important about Saturn and Neptune now direct in Pisces because they're both closing out major cycles within our lives. Like Saturn in Pisces was a story that began in March 2023. Neptune in Pisces was a story that began in 2011, and they're making their way through the final degrees of Pisces to wrap up their stories officially next year. And so you also might be thinking about what you don't want to take with you into the next era, into the next year, into the next chapter of your life. Mindsets that are not serving you anymore. Even with the moon in Libra, relationships, connections that are not serving you, or at least dynamics within them that are no longer serving you. That could be something that you are thinking about. And on Friday, Libra moon energy could be very charming. Sagittarius sun could be very outgoing. So you could feel really like in your social butterfly energy around actually saying yes to plans or going out of your way to spark up a conversation. Something like this could be alive in your Friday. Just because Mars squared Saturn earlier this week doesn't mean we need to say no to everything. We just need to say no to the things that are fundamentally draining our energy. And sometimes socializing, going to the party does give us more energy. On this topic of energy maintenance, really honor what environments, what people you're around that drain you versus what environments and people you're around that give you more energy. I truly used to think that I was an introvert. I do believe that I am an introvert by definition. I do get a lot of energy from being on my own. I always have. But since I have become more and more authentic, I've realized that what I deemed as introversion was really me just being around the wrong people and in the wrong situations. Like when I'm around people who I feel like I'm being my fully authentic self around, that like I could just be silly and goofy and weird, around, those people give me so much energy and I really crave to be around other people. I get energy from experiences like that where I'm able to be myself. I used to think I was like fully definition introvert because I was around people where I felt like I had to perform. Performing is very exhausting. And the more I cut out environments or people that I felt like I had to perform around, the more I found that being around people actually energizes me more than drains me. So maybe I'm no longer an introvert, maybe I'm an ambivert, who knows? But there may be an opportunity this weekend to say yes to something, even if it's outside of your comfort zone, to spend time with people. You may find that it's surprisingly energizing. And the Libra moon will sextile Mercury in Sagittarius at 10:02 a.m. And then the Libra moon trines Pluto in Aquarius. So sometimes conversations with people can energize you. They can give you more fuel. They can give a little bit of humor to a situation. You can like put out into the group chat around, oh, I got this opportunity and I didn't get the role. And sometimes it's helpful to have those people who hype you up, who lift you up. On Saturday, December 13th, at around 8:30 a.m. PST, Mercury in Sagittarius will sextile Pluto in Aquarius for the third and final time. Keep in mind, Mercury clears its post-retrograde shadow next week, which does give you full cosmic clearance for anything that you want to sign or launch or start, just knowing that Mercury is moving into new territory, so you have full astrological permission to move into new territory of your own. We're still retracing our steps, so there could be an element around putting finishing touches on something you've been working on, having to go back to something that came up during Mercury retrograde or reviewing it in some way. With Mercury in Sagittarius sextile Pluto, there is an energy around really giving ourselves a pep talk, like remembering the power that is in your mindset and knowing that you can begin again. Just because you did not land that particular role, that does not mean that there are not other roles that are meant to be yours. Like there can be an energy around really having to build yourself up via your mentality or having to mentally be very resilient or bounce back. You also could really just crave learning about something, going deep into something, getting lost in a book, going to a certain class, being able to have a certain conversation that just makes the world open up. That could be stimulation that you are craving at this particular time. And some of that stimulation may be satiated by way of connection. The Libra moon sextiles Venus in Sagittarius, so you definitely could feel inclined to say yes to that date, say yes to that party. You may find yourself randomly in a really deep conversation with someone. You know, I think a lot of social situations can be very draining because we feel like we have to keep things very light or keep things very superficial or keep things very shallow. Like, are you really tired of talking, or are you just tired of talking about things that don't really matter and don't really fill you up? This may be an invitation to find the people, the hangs, the connections that really stimulate your mind. You know, some of you could have some really good banter or charm energy happening on Saturday. I will also say this can be helpful for any sort of mindset work or to even like go deep within yourself. You know, what am I not acknowledging? What am I not seeing about my current situation? Some of you could be going on some sort of journey around that. And I will say, just as an overall weekend caution, Mars squares Neptune in the wee morning hours tomorrow, which you can definitely start to build today, which is like losing track of time. This could be an energy around feeling very drained or feeling a bit scattered. Definitely the cosmos are really nudging you this week around if your body gives you a check engine light, honor it. And what I mean by that is sometimes check engine lights come up, you know, earlier in the week with Mars squaring Saturn around, I feel exhausted. I need rest. I need to slow down. And sometimes they show up in this Mars square Neptune sort of way, where it's like, normally I love doing this, but I don't have that same joy in doing this. Like that indicates I gotta check the soul. Maybe not check the engine, but like check the soul. Is it that I'm doing too much? Like I have too many tasks and responsibilities on my plate? Or is it that I'm doing too little of the things that really light me up, the things that really make me happy and fill me up? On Sunday, December 13th, at 3:44 a.m. PST, Mars in Sagittarius will square Neptune in Pisces. And when it comes to nebulous Neptune interacting with Mars, the planet of action and motivation, you could feel like your motivation to do the things that you meant to do with your Sunday is just poof, gone. Like you wanted to do laundry and you wanted to deep clean the home. The thing about Neptune is that it's a bit like a wave, and you could want the wave to go this way and want your energy to go this way around, do the tasks, do the laundry. But with Neptune energy, sometimes we're just swept in this particular direction, where this can be a really wonderful day to follow your energy, but you've got to let yourself be carried by the wave. And sometimes the wave goes in a different direction than you thought it was going to go. So you may have thought your energy was going to be put towards laundry and cleaning, but it just so happened you woke up and felt really inspired to work on that song that you've been working on. You got to follow your energy. And Mars square Neptune may speak to you in terms of just feeling drained, feeling depleted around, it just makes my soul feel tired and depleted to think about having to do all of the tasks. And that's a check engine light coming on, like check soul light around, I need to go to nature. I need to go to church. I need to do something that fuels my soul. Like sometimes our soul is exhausted, and that's why we don't have the motivation to do the things that we want to do. And sometimes we want our motivation to go here, but if we follow it here, sometimes it'll take us in some really interesting places. You know, Neptune energy can be right place, right time. So getting an idea for a song, putting lots of energy into it, it turns to be something beautiful that felt like it was channeled through you rather than just from you. Like this could be that sort of energy. Some of you may get in some sort of argument, some sort of conflict that's about something different than what you are arguing about. Neptune energy is mysterious in that way, where you could be arguing over the remote, but it's not really about the remote. Or you could be arguing with this person, but you're actually mad at this person. Like Mars squaring Neptune could be misdirected aggression or confusion. What am I really mad at? And sometimes when we are not energetically maintaining ourselves, sometimes when we are overstimulated, we will lash out. And Mars squaring Neptune is around really honoring the check engine light of our body, of our soul, before it gets to that place. This could be a really wonderful day for a yoga class or doing something that moves the body but fills the spirit, Neptune. You could have a not realistic idea of your bandwidth at this time. Neptune energy could be very dreamy, idealistic. Neptune energy can not always mind bounds. So your boundaries could be a little leaky at this particular time around, of course, I'll be there to help you with this task every single day. Neptune energy brings that to the surface, but you're not having a realistic gauge of your energy at this particular time. So I'd be mindful of that around dispersing your energy too widely. I just feel like a lot of individuals may spend a lot of the day in bed or just feel a little drained and a little exhausted. And sometimes we have days that are rest days, but we spend the whole time feeling guilty and feeling like we should do other things, which is not very restful at all. Like if you're gonna bed rot, really bed rot, like really relax rather than beating yourself up the whole time. Like everybody deserves a lazy Sunday every so often, and you don't need to feel guilty about that. But it's asking if that really fills your soul. You know, sometimes we're just in this energy around, I don't want to stay in bed still, but I don't know what to do. And sometimes it's helpful to just move your energy in a certain direction. Again, Neptune is water energy. Sometimes we got to just get it flowing around what's one thing I can do. And then maybe that will spark motivation, inspiration for other things. Or maybe I don't feel like going to the gym, but I know I'll feel good once I get there, once I get some energy flowing and going. And maybe on the drive home, I'll see somewhere else that I want to stop. Like sometimes we just got to get some motivation going, especially if you're finding it's not feeling satisfying lying in bed and just thinking about all the things you should be doing. Sometimes you just got to move energy in a certain direction and see where it goes from there. Because sometimes rest days can be healing. You know, the Sagittarius sun trines Chiron at 4:36 a.m. But sometimes we just do it while hating ourselves the whole time. So it's like either have a rest day, be in the bed, luxuriate, enjoy, or get up, get some movement going, do one thing that'll make tomorrow you happy, do one thing that you know is good for your soul, even if you don't feel motivated to do it right now. Get some energy, moving and grooving. And with the Sag sun trining Chiron in Aries at 4:36 a.m. PST, this is the energy around a healing way of viewing yourself, you know, within the vibe check around, I am not a flop actress. Like I have had wins. I need to see myself as this is simply part of the come up journey. And I am on the radar of the screenwriter and of that director. And that's a win. Even though it's a loss that I didn't get the part, like, ouch, that hurts the ego a bit, but I'm on the radar. It's really seeing yourself with an optimistic lens and seeing yourself as a work in progress with the trine to Chiron and that not being a bad thing. Sometimes people are drawn to us because of our imperfections. Like sometimes when we try to be perfect, it's off-putting because no one's human. So it reads as inauthentic. So maybe the reason you did not get that audition is because you were like trying too hard to be perfect and make sure everything was dialed in. Sometimes we land the audition where it's really clear that our birthmark was visible or our facial expressions were a little derpy. Like imperfection connects to a human level. And so where is it that you can shine within your imperfections, within your wounds, within your inadequacies? And like I highlighted yesterday, with Mars squaring Neptune this weekend, you can absolutely lose track of time. And sometimes we lose track of time because we're having a good time, right? We're hanging out with a friend where it feels like time doesn't exist, right? Those moments of flow state. Like Mars square Neptune asks you to find your flow state this weekend. Those activities that you just lose yourself within, those people you spend time with where the world around you ceases to exist. It's said that our happiest, most fulfilled moments are when we are in flow. And so finding your flow. And that evening at 11:34 p.m., Mars enters Capricorn, which is the sign of its exaltation. I don't know why I wanted to do a muscle at that particular moment. Mars in Capricorn is boss energy. Mars is our energy, it's our motivation, it's our desire. And with the energy of Capricorn, it's putting our energy towards building success, whatever that means to you. We do not all have the same goals. We do not all have the same visions. We do not all have the same ideals around what it is that we want to build. But with Mars in Capricorn, it is ramping up your motivation to build what it is that you want to build. It is of my belief that when we reject what is not for us, we free up more energy to build what is. And that feels relevant just with Mars squaring Saturn earlier this week, and then Mars entering Capricorn. Capricorn is around ascending. Capricorn is around being the best and doing the best that we possibly can do or be, whatever that is, whether it's the best cook we can be, the best mom we can be, the best entrepreneur we can be. It's step by step ascending to our peak. And you don't get to the top unless you strategize, unless you compartmentalize. Mars exalts in a Saturn rule sign. You have to mind your limits. The limits of your physical vessel, it's an earth sign, right? Like our body cannot run 24 hours a day. We do need sleep and rest, and that helps us be more productive and show up, as well as the bandwidth of our time, the bandwidth of our responsibilities. We can only do so much. And with Mars in Capricorn, we're wanting to do what we do and do it very well. So with Mars in Capricorn, the archetype of the CEO, you may be making some energetic budget allocations around, if this is your vision, you want to be this sort of actress, we need to be prioritizing this and this and this, and we need to draw back from this and this and this. And this could make you channel your own inner boss energy. Even if you're not running a business, you are running the business of your life. And sometimes to do that, you have to do the hard thing, or you have to say, my energy is not available for A, B, and C. Mars squaring Neptune earlier today could have been leaky boundaries, but with Mars in Capricorn, it's around, gotta get serious with where I'm placing my energy, what I'm placing my energy towards, as well as going after what it is that I desire, going after what it is that I deem as personally successful. This should help if you've been dealing with the lack of motivation, with Mars squaring Neptune. If you had a very not productive weekend, it's okay. We bounce back. Like with Mars in Capricorn, this is around getting back to work and chiseling to be the best that we can be. Not perfect, but the best that we can be, and moving in the direction of our aims, moving in the direction of our desires. This is desire contained and maintained, Mars in a Saturn ruled sign. It's around, this is the vision, this is the aim, and reverse engineering what action steps are necessary in order to get there. How can we build this momentum so that we ascend this particular peak of what it is that we desire? And sometimes when we channel our own inner CEO of our lives, we cannot be liked by everyone or approved of by everyone. And with Mars in Capricorn, I ask you to work hard for a future version of you. Like continue to show up for your craft. Like the audience will be there one day. The roles will be there one day. And it's believing in that so much that your actions remain consistent on that trajectory. Saturn is around discipline. So with Mars in a Capricorn sign, it's around being disciplined. And discipline does not show up around working 24/7 because that's unsustainable. Discipline is also Hey, it's 9 p.m. I've got to go to bed. Hey, it's 4:30 p.m. I've got to wrap up this project because it's important to me to be home at my house by 5. That's also discipline. That's also boundaries. That's also limits. That's also essential to success. And Mars in Capricorn is supporting us in being very realistic and very intentional around our limits, our boundaries, our aims. And the moon is in Libra for the first portion of the day. It does oppose Chiron in the morning time, which could bring about some ouches as it relates to your connections and relationships with others, or even comparing yourself to others, allowing your energy to be dissipated by comparison. Mars squares Neptune today. Neptune, as I noted, is around screens, mirrors, cameras. So with Mars squaring Neptune, this could show up around your bed rotting and you're scrolling on Instagram looking at how many other people are successful and doing this and that and feeling less than about yourself. Neptune energy is around snapping out of it. That is not real. Those are illusions that people project. And so it's calling back your energy, especially if you are comparing, if you're feeling less than, like Libra moon opposite Chiron. Everybody else looks like they're having so much fun and making so much money. What's wrong with me? That could be that energy. And the Libra moon sextile Sagittarius sun, plus that aspect is asking you to do things that you're in flow, where you are having fun, where you are adventuring, where you are exploring and learning, like doing the things that make you forget to check your phone. And before Mars enters Capricorn tonight, we get very serious and very focused. The Libra moon does sextile Mars in Sagittarius at 7:36 p.m., which is around having fun, exploring. And the Libra moon will square Jupiter in Cancer around 6:30 a.m., which can give an energy of excess procrastination. I'll get out of bed later. I just want to keep doing what is comfortable. But the Libra moon will sextile Mars in Sagittarius at 7:36 p.m. So as we get closer to that, you could feel some motivation. And again, with Mars squaring Neptune, finding an activity for your Sunday that you lose yourself within. The moon enters Scorpio at 7:51 p.m., which could take your emotions to a more intense place. And then Mars enters Capricorn at 11:36 p.m., which we noted. So my encouragement for that combination is not allowing yourself to beat yourself up. You have to take you to the top. So it's important to develop a good relationship with you. Like you could maybe get to the top of the mountain hating yourself and loathing yourself and being really hard on yourself around you're stupid, you got to work harder, do more. But this is the relationship you're going to have for the rest of your life. Like make it a loving one. Love yourself so much that you want to bring your dreams to reality. Love yourself so much that you want to make the full use of all of your talents and abilities within this experience. I just mentioned this with Moon in its fall and Mars in Capricorn. It could just make you go into a really existential, intense place where you're like, oh, I was so lazy all weekend. I need to get up at 4 a.m. every day this week in order to make it up to myself. I need to slay this week. And you will slay this week with Mars in Capricorn, but slay because you love yourself. Slay because your vision of success incorporates healthy relationships and lots of sleep and time for your hobbies. Like slay because of that. You do not need to destroy yourself in the name of ambition. And so my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is I bounce back. That is the biggest indicator of success and achievement in this lifetime, is bouncing back. There are so many successful business people who did not find their success until multiple failures. There are likely many things that you've done where you tried and tried and tried again, and then one of those tries changed your life. Maybe for some of you, you had to pursue different people and ask different people out and deal with the rejection of that for you to find the one. Like life will entail sometimes dealing with disappointment and letdowns, and sometimes it can break our spirit, right? Mars and Sagittarius square Saturn. Why do I even try? You try because one of those tries is going to succeed. You try because we cannot succeed without a try. And so your bounce back game has got to be on point. You got to be able to pep talk yourself and you got to be able to keep going this week and in life altogether. So my loves, if you made it to the end of your podcast this week, go ahead and comment below the mountain emoji or use the word mountain to let me know that you did make it to the end. This is a little nod to the ambitious Mars and Capricorn energy, and just a reminder to keep our gaze fixed to the peak of the mountain, the goal that we are wanting to achieve, while also knowing we can't ascend to the mountain in one go overnight. We have to bucket our energy. We have to compartmentalize our energy. We have to sustain our energy in order to get there. So it's keeping your gaze fixated there while you keep your pace steady here. So my loves, I will see you again, same time, same place next week. I want to give another thank you to Ana Luisa for sponsoring this week's episode of Magic Monday. Reminder, their holiday sale is on now. You can get up to 25% off plus a free pair of diamond stud earrings when your card exceeds $250. So thank you again, Ana Luisa, and make sure to jump on their website. A lot of their bestsellers sell out right away. So if you see something that you like, now is the time. But until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay magical.